Thank you. Whenever I do a song about trains or whenever I see a train, I always think of my father. And it's not that he worked on the railroad or anything like that, but he was a drunk. And I grew up in a very small town. Now, if you're the town drunk in a small town, there is no place to put you in jail when you get too drunk because the town wasn't big enough to have a jail. So they'd put him in jail down in the county seat, which was a big town down in the valley, and the railroad went through there. So when Mom would take me along to bail him out, I get to watch all the trains go through, which is a big thrill for me, and I really liked those trains, and it was the only time I ever saw trains, and also the only time I ever saw Dad. So now whenever I see a train, I always think of Dad. Well, listen to the jingle, to the rumble and the roar, as she glides along the woodland, over the hills and by the shore. Hear the mighty rush of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo's call. She's a regular combination called the Wabash Cannonball. Yeah, the eastern states are dandy, so the western people say. From New York to St. Louis, through Chicago by the way. From the lakes of Minnesota, where the rippling waters fall, no changes can be taken on the Wabash Cannonball. Well, she came down from Birmingham one cold December day. Rolled into the station, you could hear the people say, that's the gal from Tennessee, she's long and she's tall. She came down from Birmingham on the Wabash Cannonball. So listen to the jingle, to the rumble and the roar, as she glides along the woodland, over the hills and by the shore. Hear the mighty rush of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo's call. She's a regular combination called the Wabash Cannonball. Here's the old man, Daddy Claxton, may his name forever stand, always be remembered in the courts throughout the land. His earthly race is over as the curtains round him fall. We'll carry him home to victory on the Wabash Cannonball. So listen to the jingle, to the rumble and the roar, as she glides along the woodland, over the hills and by the shore. Hear the mighty rush of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo's call. She's a regular combination called the Wabash Cannonball. Back in those days, the Wabash Cannonball was not the only train running. And there were some folks who didn't think it was the best train running. These people would walk up to you on the street, and they would look you right in the eye, and they would say, well, the Rock Island Line is a mighty good road. Well, the Rock Island Line is a road to ride. Rock Island Line is a mighty good road, and if you're gonna ride, I better ride it like fine and get your ticket at the station for the Rock Island Line. Well, I may be right and I may be wrong, I think you'll miss me when I'm gone. Yeah, the Rock Island Line is a mighty good road. Well, the Rock Island Line is a road to ride. Rock Island Line is a mighty good road, and if you're gonna ride, I better ride it like fine and get your ticket at the station for the Rock Island Line. You probably noticed that I don't do this song like Johnny Cash does. The reason for that is no one ever gave me a Johnny Cash album. So I learned it off an album by Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. Little Evelina sitting in the shade, she's counting on the money that I ain't made. And the Rock Island Line is a mighty good road. Well, the Rock Island Line is a road to ride. Rock Island Line is a mighty good road, and if you're gonna ride, I better ride it like fine and get your ticket at the station for the Rock Island Line. This next verse I got out of a fiddle book from Oklahoma. Well, the 745 was always late, but it arrived this morning at 8:15. And the engineer said as they cheered his name, we're right on time, but this is yesterday's train. And the Rock Island Line is a mighty good road. Well, the Rock Island Line is a road to ride. Rock Island Line is a mighty good road, and if you're gonna ride, I better ride it like fine and get your ticket at the station for the Rock Island Line. But even a good train like the Rock Island Line would sometimes get behind. Do any of you know what those old trains would do back in those days when they got behind? I'm not talking about Amtrak. I'm talking about in the old days of steam engines. What would they do when they got behind? If they didn't do this, they never would have had all those great train wrecks like the wreck of the old 97 and Casey Jones and all those people. They would just start shoveling on more coal They'd get going a little bit faster, and they'd get the boiler a little bit hotter, and they'd get going a little faster, and they'd be shoveling on more coal, and they'd be going faster and faster and faster. They get going a little bit more like this. You see, they're trying to catch up. Well, the Rock Island line is a mighty good road. Well, the Rock Island line is a road around. Well, the Rock Island line is a mighty good road. And if you're gonna ride, I better ride it like fine. Gets ticket at the station with the Rock Island line. There'd be times when that wouldn't be fast enough. They'd have to get going a little bit more like this. In fact, sometimes the engineer would go back and he would just start shoveling on coal too and not even worrying about what was on the road ahead. And a steam engine has been clocked going 121 miles an hour, so they did not fool around. They get going about like this. Well, the Rock Island line is a mighty good road. Well, the Rock Island line is a road ride. Well, the Rock Island line is a mighty good road. And if you're gonna ride, I better ride it like fine. Get your ticket at the station with the Rock Island line. You want to sing it with me? I think it's slowing down for a station anyway. I think it's slowing down here, yeah. Well, the Rock Island line, it is a mighty good road. The Rock Island line, it is a road to ride. The Rock Island line, it is a mighty good road. So if you're gonna ride it, better ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station for the Rock Island line.